Tonight on News 5 Live, Belmopan Sitco facing eviction. Teachers and nurses will join strike actions. Robbers pose as BTL workers to gain access to store. And St. Vincent Islanders facing water shortages and COVID-19 spike as volcanic eruption continues. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Preventing the spread of COVID-19 at work requires that businesses of all sizes and sectors put safety and health first. Managers and employees should conduct risk assessments to identify critical areas and procedures that put lives and businesses in danger. Here are 6 tips for creating a safe and healthy working environment. 1. Identify potential sources of virus transmission. 2. Determine who might be infected and how. 3. Discuss and decide prevention and control measures. 4. Make sure the safety equipment being used is right for the situation. 5. Implement, communicate, and test measures. 6. Keep records, review measures, and update when necessary.
We must all do our part to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labour Organization.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect the wires inside your home from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Want to leave a lasting impact when you travel? Then travel locally. Make memories to treasure. Want to leave a lasting impact when you travel? Then travel locally. Make memories to treasure for a lifetime while making a difference. Make protected areas your next travel destination. With over 25 protected areas under the APAMO umbrella, the possibilities for adventure and education are endless. You can bond with friends and family while trekking through the jungles to discover natural pools and breathtaking views. Or take that snorkeling trip to the magnificent world of coral gardens and marine life. Then camp under the stars to end off that perfect day in nature. By visiting protected areas, you are helping to preserve valuable plant and animal life. You're building local communities and you're keeping our natural and cultural heritage alive. You have that power. Travel locally and make an impact. We invite you to visit a protected area near you and discover the beauty of Belize's wild places. APAMO, the voice of Belize's protected areas.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out or our cell phone number 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects.
Nation, rain or shine any weather. When we go ball, we go Berger. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go ball, we go Berger. Let your imagination run free. Any color for this space, when we say ball, that mean it don't peel. Quality in every color, lifetime guarantee. When we go ball, we go Berger. When we go ball, we go Berger. Rain or shine any color you need. When we go ball, we go Berger.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, April 14th. I am Marlene Cuellar. As extraordinary as it sounds, the Belmopan City Council is facing possible eviction from the Belmopan City Hall and all 3 additional City Council structures on the property. News 5's Paul Lopez has more on this dramatic turn of events.
News 5 has learned that the National Bank of Belize has been granted first legal charge of the Belmopan City Hall in 3 parcels of land in the city of Belmopan as a part of a $1.5 million loan agreement with the Belmopan City Council. The agreement was drafted pre-COVID on January 20, 2020 and signed by the former City Council administration on February 14th of 2020. Former City Council Mayor Khalid Bilal and all 6 of his former councillors signed onto the agreement. According to the paperwork obtained by News 5, the $1.5 million loan at a 9% annual interest rate was to facilitate a staff restructuring exercise and meet urgent payables. The former Belmopan City Council administration agreed to make 84 monthly installments of $24,134 commencing February 28, 2021. The current PUP administration inherited this loan upon taking office on March 4, 2021. The outstanding $1.5 million loan debt was listed by the current City Council administration in a March 24 press release, among other major debts and contracts the new council inherited, amounting to $8.8 million. That same day, Mayor Sharon Palacio held a press conference where she listed additional outstanding debts.
The council owes Social Security, my people, to the tune of $586,604.51. Income tax, $188,691.21. Service providers and contractors are also owed.
Amidst the COVID-19 economic hardship that the Belmopan City Council is faced with, News 5 has confirmed that the council is unable to pay the $24,134 monthly installments on the National Bank of Belize loan. The National Bank of Belize, having first legal charge over the Belmopan City Hall, now has the authority to lay claim over the property due to outstanding payments. Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
On Tuesday, you heard that the Public Service Union has put government on notice of a trade dispute. Their Work to Rule campaign has already started as an initial form of industrial action. Well, today, News 5 confirmed that the Belize National Teachers Union ran a poll of its membership, and the results are in. They too will strike. The normally accessible President Elena Smith has hunkered down with the leadership, which has entered emergency planning mode. An internal memo leaked online suggests that the campaign will be very highly visible, with picketing in front of businesses and a boycott of gas stations which owe taxes. There will also be protests in front of the 2 telecommunication companies and a walkout of schools. The memo even speaks to demonstration on the highway, which they claim will be blocked for 15 minutes. This course of action comes on the heels of government's budget presentation that reflects a 10% salary cut and increment freeze for 3 years. Was it all foreshadowed by Senator Smith back in March?
As a union, we don't instruct our teachers, all right? Our members instruct us. And so as the president, I have no choice but to go with the mandate of the majority of our branches. So we have 10 branches. Once 6 branches say we'll do X, we have no choice. The other 4 have to follow behind and do. And I have no choice but to do what they say I must do. So that's how we operate. So we have agreed, yes, on a series of activities for right now. And our teachers know, and I guess people know, that when they see those green shirts coming out, they know that something is happening. So something might be happening.
And the teachers are not alone. Today, the Nurses Association of Belize told government its members stand ready to support joint unions' position on government salary cuts and other cost-cutting measures. In fact, they have been poised and ready to respond before the budget was presented on Friday. News 5's Andrea Polanco has more on the decision by this key group of healthcare professionals.
The Belize Nurses Association polled its members. A whopping 99% of nurses are against a salary cut, and almost 95% say that they will take industrial action if the government impasse with the joint unions is not resolved.
It is to align the people, to awake people, and realize that nurses are tired of it all. We're tired of what's happening in the country. So we want to make it known that we align ourselves on the joint unions, and we stand ready to move whenever we need to be called upon.
What percentage of the association's members agreed in supporting the joint union and against the salary cut?
Well, we did a poll of our membership, and the poll not only included members, also included non-members. And I will tell you, of the respondents, we are in the 90% and up of persons ready to stand by or stand down, whatever the call is that will be made.
The PSU has served the government of Belize its notice of industrial action, and the BNTU's poll has shown that they're also in support of a strike. But for an essential service like healthcare, the line is not so clear-cut for a strike, although there's room for more passive actions like a go slow. Regardless of what steps the Nurses Association takes next, one thing is clear. Industrial action is a strong position and unprecedented in recent times. President Darrell Spencer says it's long overdue.
We must be careful and mindful that nurses and strikes are two words that should be in the same sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking that, we will participate in whatever industrial action necessary that does not cause a loss of life and risk patient lives.
How do you take all of this that's happening in the context of the essential service that you guys provide?
That is a just question. Essential services are saying that we must provide some service. What service is the question? And as a professional and as a citizen of the country, I know we can all agree that there are some services directly life-saving services. So those are the services that if push comes to shove, those services, then the nurses stand in a position not to have to render them. Nurses provide a lot of non-nursing procedures that in a work to rule situation, a go slow situation, we can legally and rightfully decide that those services we will offer no more. The department is totally short. It's short in many other areas in health, and unfortunately for the nurses, unfortunately for the country of Belize, nurses have always filled that gap.
How recent has a decision like this been taken, where we see the nurses come out and say, you know, we're in support of the unions and, you know, would go the length of where they would take this matter?
I've been in nursing for 30 years. And over that time, we have supported, the association has supported with its members, the Public Service Union, the NTU from time to time. We have voiced our support in them, with them, no? This, as far as I recall, is the first time that the Nurses Association has uttered to the degree of direct industrial action on behalf of the United Republic government, to any government at all.
How recent has a decision like this been taken, where we see the nurses come out and say, you know, we're in support of the unions and, you know, would go the length of where they would take this matter?
All right. So I've been in nursing for 30 years. And over that time, we have supported, the association has supported with its members, the Public Service Union, the NTU from time to time. We have voiced our support in with them. No? This, as far as I recall, is the first time that the Nurses Association has uttered to the degree of direct industrial action on behalf of the nursing public, government, any government at all.
How big is something like this, in your opinion, to see the Nurses Association come out and say, look, this is our position?
Well, it is big as the problem that we are facing in the country. I personally believe this should have happened a long time ago, but we are not going to tarry and dwell on what should have happened. The best time to do it is today.
But the Belize Nurses Association says that members recognize that some measures must be implemented, and in their poll, some 60% support an increment freeze of up to 2 years maximum.
The support for the increment freeze comes from the same survey that we did, so nurses were told, and at most, nurses have, some nurses have agreed, and toward the 60% have agreed. I think it's 33 or 34% with only 1 year, and another 20-something percent to about 2 years, where the number about 60% of the nursing pool has agreed to, at worst, an increment freeze of not more than 2 years.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
In a press release issued today, the Belize Nurses Association calls on the government to implement the United Nations Convention Against Corruption to curb the abuse and exploitation of resources, as well as implement cost-saving measures such as cutting allowances of ministers and senior executive, hold off on unnecessary hiring, and restrict use of resources such as vehicles. Don't expect to be able to go to Chetumal anytime soon. That was a word from the Prime Minister today during his tour of the Carl Histon Memorial Hospital. Despite a recent change in government, a decision to reopen the borders has not been finalized as the Briceño administration continues to monitor the situation in both neighboring countries. This afternoon, Prime Minister Briceño began by discussing the pending reopening of casinos.
We are slowly, gradually, cautiously reopening up the country. We're going step by step. We need to get people back to work. We have COVID under control, and we said, and let's pray that we keep it that way. But people have to go back to work. And so the casinos employ hundreds of people. And so we felt as a cabinet that it is time to be able to allow them to open under strict safety guidelines and standards, social distancing, the mask wearing, and everything that goes along with that. So we have done that. As to opening up the borders, it's not only just about opening up borders, but we also have to see what is happening on the other side of the border. Mexico continues to have a challenge with COVID. They have not taken it on as seriously as we have in Belize. And also Guatemala also has its problems. Fortunately, we have put in the necessary attention and taking the drastic decisions to be able to try to control COVID, and we have succeeded, and we're seeing the results. So we are monitoring it. We're monitoring, and hopefully in the not too distant future, we maybe can decide as to how we open up the border, under what conditions, and what would be expected when people are coming back after their visits across the border.
Belize's borders with Mexico and Guatemala remain closed indefinitely amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The northern and western frontier borders, as well as the maritime port of entry in Punta Gorda, were sealed off to leisure travel a year ago with the advent of the coronavirus. The statutory instrument, which has been extended several times during the COVID-19 pandemic, expires on Thursday. The SI restricts movements, imposes curfew times, and determines which businesses or public activities can resume. Yet, no new information has come out to tell the public whether or not the curfew will be extended or any other changes made. This is even though several casinos who have met COVID standards will be allowed to reopen Thursday night. News 5 was told today that government will make an announcement on Thursday. A few days ago, Minister of Home Affairs Karim Musa said that there were many factors to consider as Belize approaches the deadline.
As you know, we had promised that on April 15th, there would be a revision of the statutory instrument and the regulations. We have already decided at the cabinet level that casinos, having satisfied the requests from the Ministry of Health in terms of the protocols to be instituted, will be able to open on April 15th. We are looking at sporting events, certain sporting events. I know that basketball and football are the two that most people are clamoring for, but it's also the ones that involve the most contact. And so there may be some relaxing when it comes to sporting, and of course there may be relaxing in the curfew as well. But I don't want to say at this very moment, because we still have another week before April 15th before we make that decision.
Coming up, their doors were opened wide for the robbers. How thieves tricked the staff at the Digistore when we come back.
Hi, I'm Carmen. Have you heard about QR codes? Quick response codes, or QR codes as they are more popularly known, is a type of barcode that was created in 1994 for the Japanese automotive industry. They are similar to the barcodes you see on products at a supermarket or a store. It contains machine-readable information about the item. Unlike simple barcodes, QR codes are much safer because information is encrypted. Other advantages of QR codes are: it stores a large volume of data, it can be scanned from a screen, not just a paper, and it can also be read even if part of the code is damaged. eCash, powered by Belize Bank, will be a convenient and secure digital wallet solution with an embedded QR code scan digital payments world. I currently live in Punta Gorda. My daughter Ashanti, who lives in Belize City, uses eCash to send me money within seconds. Ashanti no longer needs to worry about sending me physical cash via a friend or transferring money via a bank account, which will likely be available until the next day. I can now carry out my errands immediately. There is no need for cash when I go to the store, as I have the opportunity to make my payments by either scanning the static or dynamic QR code. Either way, the process is quick and simple. Buying my art supplies has never been easier, as now all my favorite stores accept eCash. By scanning the static QR code, I will then input my payment amount to pay the cashier, who then instantly receives the funds. Next up, supermarket. At the supermarket, I can purchase my supply of groceries for the week. This supermarket uses a dynamic QR code. With the dynamic QR code, the cashier generates a QR code on her mobile device and then shows me her screen so that I can scan to make payment. After scanning, I quickly verify the payment details and proceed to make payment. The cashier then instantly receives my payment. It's as easy as that. I can leave the store in minutes. When I arrive home, I can shop from my favorite vendor on any of the social mediums they have established. I won't have to scan a QR code, as the vendor will simply send me a payment link via WhatsApp, which will take me to the eCash app with the payment details. I will receive my order in no time. Next time, we will meet my friend John from San Ignacio, who will be going through the steps of bill payment and salary processing.
The digital payment revolution is here, and it's time to jump on board and welcome the awesome advantages that eCash has to offer for everyone.
Durante la pandemia de la COVID-19, un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable es un lugar de trabajo mejor. Esto reduce el riesgo de transmisión del virus entre trabajadoras, trabajadores y clientes. Los lugares de trabajo inseguros agravan los problemas durante la pandemia. Aumento de la carga de trabajo, jornadas laborales más largas, aislamiento, violencia doméstica, estrés, ansiedad y depresión. Trabajar de manera segura protege a las personas, permite seguir operando y mantiene a las comunidades saludables. Usted puede hacer la diferencia siguiendo los siguientes pasos: usando máscaras para cubrir boca y nariz, respetando el distanciamiento físico de 6 pies, lavándose las manos con jabón durante al menos 20 segundos, siguiendo instrucciones y señalización de seguridad y salud, quedándose en casa si está enfermo, diciéndolo si no se siente seguro.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
We are faced with crisis situations, and we take up the duty as the Red Cross staff and volunteers to respond to the humanitarian needs of affected people. One thing that is certain is that we now have a vaccine we can take to bring back some sense of normalcy for all of us. I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine. I will take the vaccine when it's my turn, and so will my staff and volunteers. I urge you to take it too. #GetVaccinated_Belize.
It is my time
to protect your life.
Don't wait to vaccinate.
I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine.
Do not hesitate, Belize. Vaccinate. Be COVID-19 safe.
The vaccine is the best way to protect lives.
Don't wait. Vaccinate.
If you care, love them.
Protect them.
Vaccinate them.
In Tuesday's newscast, we had breaking coverage of a daring robbery at BTL's Digi Signature showroom. Today, News 5's Isani Cayetano found out more about the investigation into the incident.
The store is located at the Mirab building at mile 2.5 on the Philip Goldson Highway. It was closed for business when a duo dressed as employees of the telecoms company walked in. The security officer who stood guard at the entrance of the building was none the wiser that the men he let in were there to carry out a heist.
From what we were made to understand, there were two persons who visited our offices after it had closed at 5 p.m. They gained access to the facility because they were wearing the Digi uniforms, hence the reason why the security granted them access. Upon gaining access to the store, they proceeded to rob the store.
According to a statement recorded by police following the incident, the thieves were escorted to the manager's office on the upper flat of the building. Once inside, one of the men produced a firearm and proceeded to relieve her of a small transparent bag containing an undisclosed sum of money.
In terms of what was taken, again, the investigation is still ongoing, so I'm only able to share at this point that, yes, they took cash, but the other items, should there be other items that were taken, that is still yet to be discovered based on the investigation. As with any experience like this, this being the first at our facility at that location, it was a very traumatizing experience for them. And as such, as a company, we are in the process of providing the necessary support that they need, whether as a group or as an individual, to recover from this experience, because I am very sure that this is one that they won't be forgetting anytime soon. The individuals who invaded their space, as you would want to say, they were very aggressive in their approach.
It is reported that a female employee was struck over the head with a weapon that was wielded by the robbers. The pair then made good their escape in a small green-colored vehicle bearing a taxi license plate. The incident has prompted BTL to review its operations at its various locations.
We've already begun looking into our procedures during working hours and after, looking at access to not only the offices, but there's exchanges, there's so many BTL facilities across the country. So by all means, this definitely means that we need to revisit the protocols that are in place that govern who gets access and when, and what you're able to do when this access is granted. So of course, this has definitely resulted with that action being taken.
To allay the concerns of customers in the wake of the robbery, Marketing Manager Stephen Yarwood ensures that security remains the first order of business.
First of all, it happened after hours. And secondly, the only reason that they gained access was because they came dressed as BTL employees. So to customers, I say that their safety during operational hours, that's the 8 to 5, will and always be paramount to us as a company. Not only the customers, but to our employees as well. Safety is always number one. So now that will be enhanced. I alluded to that earlier. Safety will be enhanced not only after hours, but during regular working hours. So the public can rest assured that your safety will always be our number one priority when you are visiting our stores.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
This afternoon, Prime Minister John Briceño, accompanied by Minister of Health and Wellness Michelle Shabat, toured the COVID unit at the Carl Hushta Memorial Hospital. Over the past 12 months, KHMH has retrofitted its facility to accommodate and treat patients afflicted with COVID-19. While the KHMH authority has done a remarkable job modifying an entire wing of the National Referral Hospital, it's up to scratch and ready to take on another wave should there be a flare-up of infections.
God forbid we don't have another wave. And we're doing everything possible to be able to contain that with the testing and the vaccines. And I take the opportunity to encourage more people to please go and take your vaccination. But I believe that they are pretty much ready. God forbid if there's a second wave. They have fixed what needed to be fixed. You know, they were having problems in the ICU unit with oxygen and the electrical and all of that. All of that has been done. They've done some further retrofitting and reorganizing, restructuring the hospital. So I am pretty confident that should there be another wave, that they would be able to assist as best as we possibly can and to give the necessary service to the Belizean people.
And PM, in terms of the government support of the KHMH, is that a commitment you're willing to make?
Well, we're fully committed. We just, again, had a short meeting with the CEO and also with Ms. Blake, Ms. Lydia, who is the president of the Carl Hushta Workers Union. And I'm very pleased with what I heard from her, because she was saying that they are committed and determined employees of the hospital, recognizing that, you know, that services must go on.
Since the Ministry of Health and Wellness began rolling out its COVID vaccine strategy in late February, those who have received a first dose of AstraZeneca shots are scheduled for a second jab in the coming weeks. However, there are concerns among others who are wary of the side effects of the serum. According to Minister Michelle Shabat, Belize has been following the lead of the World Health Organization. Minister Shabat also touched on the procurement of vaccines through COVAX, as well as the associated costs.
We've had 29,900 of our citizens vaccinated, which is more or less about 7% of our total population. Clearly, it is important for as many of our citizens to get vaccinated as possible to do so. I think highlighting the fact that the vaccine saves lives is very important. The vaccine also will ensure that if you were to get COVID, that you will not have severe symptoms. And so all around, the benefit of getting the vaccine far outweighs any reaction that you might experience. We get a lot of guidance from WHO and from PAHO, and in fact the studies that have been completed do not show that in fact the vaccine itself leads to any significant blood clotting. Now I understand that there is that concern, but I think the focus has to be on the benefit of the vaccination. The COVAX facility is a combination of about 190 countries that have come together to access vaccines. If you're following the world news closely, you will know that the bigger countries have dominated the vaccine and the supply of the vaccine. And so what the smaller countries have done is they've come together and they form under this COVAX facility so that we as smaller countries were able to get vaccines. As a matter of fact, through that organization, we have acquired about 283,000 doses for our citizens. Without that, it would have been much more difficult.
After the break, balancing the need for development and environmental impacts. The Chief Environmental Officer talks about cruise ports in Belize when we return. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
BWS launches its residential amnesty program to aid customers. For those who have fallen behind, you can now take advantage of our arrears assistance, which allows you to get up to 10% rebate on all arrears payment. Our early payment rebate is opened and is automatic to all residential customers who pay their bill in full 5 days earlier than the due date. You receive a 5% rebate on your next bill. BWS Amnesty Program, designed to assist you.
Belize Water Services, delivering water and more.
In 2016, I saw the opportunity to be an agent, and I then became the youngest agent at the age of 23, ready for that first client to walk in my door. What I love about being an agent is honestly dealing with the people, and I also get to appreciate every single person that steps foot in my office. I am your neighbor, I am your friend, I am your RF&G agent.
Find your nearest RF&G agent on our website at rfginsuranceBelize.com, where it pays to get it right.
My name is Kenrick, and I live in Belize City, and I'm employed as an agent for a company that does reservations for hotels from all over the world. Since amputation, my life has changed minimally. Yes, I don't have my legs to get around, but I have always been an active person. So I do things a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more slower maybe, but I still get it done. Let's say they say we're going to some restaurant, wherever. I need to call and say, do you have access to a wheelchair? And they say, yes, of course. Then I would ask the second question, can I get into your restroom with a wheelchair? And then 99% of the time they'll say no. I would like to encourage everybody who has a disability to not give up. Never, 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 ever give up.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
Our administration, this government, pledges in collaboration with the social partners and the citizenry at large to spearhead a dramatic transformation of the business environment. Here is how this will be achieved. First, our public officers, from security personnel to teachers to service providers, have a personal stake in this transformation. Service standards across ministries and departments will determine directly or indirectly budgetary success, and that budgetary success will be shared throughout the economy, but also among government's 15,000 strong team. That is the spirit and the substance of the recent joint union consultations. Ministers, CEOs, and heads of departments will be expected not only to lead the way, but also to set the example.
A workplace that is healthy and safe protects you and those depending on you at home. Prevent the spread of COVID-19 at work by following these steps. Always practice safe and healthy habits, like keeping your work environment clean and disinfected. Adapt working conditions and methods to reduce the risk of infection. Use personal protective equipment properly at all times. Speak up if you do not feel safe, because your safety and health is the priority. Frontline workers are exposed to a higher risk and need particular attention. Cooperate with and support them.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
Overnight, there was yet another explosion of the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent. Thousands of persons have been displaced from their homes in proximity to the volcano, while many have been evacuated to shelters in the green zone. The ashfall has been polluting the air, and there are concerns for respiratory issues. As we found out today, the country is now also facing a water shortage. To top it off, that Caribbean island is also at risk of a spike in COVID-19 cases.
The volcanic activity has now moved from us having a lot of ashfall to what is now called pyroclastic flows, and this is now more dangerous to vegetation, farmland, and plant life, and the infrastructure, houses, anything that is in the path of the volcano at this point in time, can be significantly affected by these pyroclastic flows, and that is what we are being faced with at this point in time here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're having thousands of persons being displaced, whether or not they're headed into shelters or into private homes or guest houses. There's that mass exodus, and therefore creating the potential for further infections with regards to COVID-19. We have seen here in this country of ours, within recent times, there have been a slowing with regards to the numbers, of persons coming forward to be vaccinated. We have thus far received 45 and 24, 69,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. And I can say to you that we're just over 12,000 persons thus far receiving their first dose. So you'll see that quite naturally there's a slowing with regards to that. When you twin that with the La Soufrière volcano, exploding, and as I said, that mass exodus of persons into this more smaller zone, the potential is definitely there for further infection.
On Tuesday, environmental activists Giovanni Brackett and Will Mejia spoke out against government following a joint release issued by the Ministry of Blue Economy, the Fisheries Department, and Tide last week in respect of the Corona Reef. Brackett and Mejia argue that Tide researchers should not seek permission from Guatemalan authorities to conduct scientific surveys in the Zapadilla Keys Marine Reserve, since according to them, it is in Belize's territorial waters. We note, however, that the protected area straddles Belize and Guatemala's maritime boundaries. Today, when News 5 contacted the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for comment, we were informed that permission is sought by both Belizean and Guatemalan researchers based on where in the reserve they're conducting activities. We were also informed that it is customary for Tide to notify fisheries and Coast Guard personnel ahead of their visits. Over the weekend, the environmental clearance letter to Portico Enterprise Limited was leaked and circulated online. Signed and stamped by Chief Environmental Officer Martin Alegria on April 9th, the letter gives approval for the construction and operation of Port of Belize Magical, a cruise ship port and day resort 6 kilometers south of the Sibun River. In a one-on-one interview with News 5 today, Alegria says that the process for approval was long as there were serious concerns from the National Environmental Assessment Committee about the significant dumping of dredge spoils in the sea. The risks associated had to be addressed in supplemental documents for the clearance to be given.
It was February they submitted a proposal, a concept. By February, the end of February, our EIA was requested of them. I think in March, April, we developed the terms of reference for the EIA, and since then, March, April of 2019, they started developing the document via their EIA preparers, as we call them, locals and foreigners. It wasn't until January, I think, 2020, we presented the complete EIA. Again, they usually would present to us a first draft, and we go through it and see if it did comply with the terms of reference, for completeness, etc. And then we go back and forth until we are satisfied that the EIA report is enough to be sent to the NIAC. Ending of June, that the NIAC decided to meet, virtually and review the EIA. At that meeting of NIAC, I think additional info was requested. Then supplemental info was presented, addressing key issues of concern. And then in August, ending of August or thereabouts, the NIAC revisited the EIA, the supplemental info. Then back again, that was August. Then in October, the NIAC met once more, which was the third time, to consider all the information gathered from the EIA originally to the supplemental info. And in October, the NIAC decided to ask for more information, more details.
In the wake of the approval to Port of Magical Belize, Oceana Belize have gone on record to say there must be meaningful engagement on all development proposals to support informed decision-making. The conservation group claims the government is not looking at the larger picture in terms of the cumulative impact of multiple cruise ports in Belizean waters. We asked Alegria if NIAC has taken this into consideration. Of note is that a number of conservation representatives sit on the National Environmental Assessment Committee.
That was one of the major issues of discussion, of concern and discussion, with two projects that are being proposed. The whole issue of dredging and the dredge spoil disposal and containment thereof. In this specific case, that issue was addressed in terms of methodologies to be used, precautionary measures to protect the environment, and also the disposal sites where they're going to dispose these material. No? Specific case, they have two sites, quote unquote. One is on mainland, which is the spoil that might not be usable. Usually the top part of it, which is all silt. Those are not usable for farm ground or land reclamation or land creation. However, those that are more solid and rocks and so on are used. And so those two issues were addressed, and again, that was where a lot of the discussions, negotiations back and forth. The role and responsibility of the DOE and the NIAC is in relation to the potential negative environmental impacts and address those. The EIA process, as we call it, as people know it, is a project by project basis methodology, where yes, over the past decade or so, the whole issue of potential cumulative impacts need to be addressed or looked at, and we do take those issues into consideration in terms of if there's certain amounts of development occurring within a specific geographical area. And those issues are taken into consideration from the environmental perspective, not the economics or social or political.
Back on February 1st, the Belize Port Authority sent out a letter saying that all port development projects were suspended. In that letter, Lloyd Jones said a national port policy would be developed. We asked Alegria for an update and whether the suspension had been lifted. Here is his response.
The issue of national development plan is more of a cabinet or a ministry of planning, be it named economic development, Ministry of Planning, Office of the Prime Minister, I don't know. The whole issue of national development is something we have been asking for and looking for to guide us, because a lot of misinterpretation is out there that the DOE under the environmental planning tool, that we have the power to determine how much and which type and where development occurs. And that's not so. At the end of the day, it's national planning. Again, apart from national planning, I think national planning we have been very weak on as a national government. And I'm not blaming any. It's for years, decades now that is something we need to look at, a national development plan, but also in terms of the environmental plan aspects, which is a physical planning, you could say, along with physical planning, are doing what we can with the laws and the procedures that we have now. And so just wanted to clarify that we don't have that legal mandate or power to tell any investor that, sorry, we already granted one project approval clearance and we cannot entertain you anymore.
When we return, the latest on Garifuna land disputes, food assistance, and human trafficking. The varied portfolio of Minister Valderramas Garcia up next.
Un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable protege a usted y a los suyos en su hogar. Todos debemos implicarnos y cumplir con las medidas para prevenir el contagio del virus. En el lugar de trabajo, practique siempre hábitos seguros y saludables y mantenga los lugares de trabajo limpios y desinfectados. Adapte las condiciones y métodos de trabajo para reducir el riesgo de contagio. Utilice correctamente y en todo momento el equipo de protección personal. Si no se siente seguro, dígalo. Su seguridad y salud es la prioridad. Los trabajadores de primera línea están expuestos a un mayor riesgo y necesitan una atención especial. Coopere y apóyelos.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment are new, PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBX. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. Put that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members, since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
In Tuesday's newscast, we looked at Garifuna communal lands and a dispute involving Barranco Village, which claims people from Midway, a predominantly Maya community, are developing Barranco Village lands. However, Midway Village is on a list of Maya villages that falls under the Caribbean Court of Justice's Maya Land Rights Concession Order. Nonetheless, it appears that both communities are willing to amicably resolve the border issue. A first meeting between both communities was held on March 13th, where leaders of Midway presented a proposal for the establishment of a mutually agreed-to borderline. Today, when we caught up with the Minister for Indigenous People's Affairs, Dolores Valderramas Garcia, we asked her for an update on those negotiations.
Our Commissioner, Mr. Gregory Chuck, is working on that. We have had a very initial good meeting. Well, a very good meeting initially that was held in Punta Gorda, and both sides are willing to put their positions forward so that we can begin what you call a boundary delimitation. But we have started the conversation. It is not something that will be finished right away.
The government of Belize is stretching the $3 million that the Prime Minister will be allocated. The Prime Minister will allocate in the 2021-2022 budget for the food assistance program. A single grocery bag that was valued at $95 in November of last year may be cut down to $75, according to Minister Dolores Balderramas Garcia. The decision is not final, however, and she says her ministry is attempting to find more funds to cover the program up until December of 2021.
First of all, we realize in these very lean times that we can't just yank the food assistance program. We will not be able to have as much, but we do have a $3 million there that we can start with. And also we may be able to move some of the money from other line items in the Cap 2, so that, for example, we may be able to add in maybe another $250,000 and some more money from the Cap 3 if we are able to access it. But it will depend on the availability of the cash, you know. Now, it will have to be reduced in terms of the clients that we can reach, because it really cannot be a free-for-all. And this is one of the difficulties that we have had. I have acknowledged publicly that the vetting process for the BCAT has been somewhat flawed, but since it is a World Bank project, we really do have to carry on with it up until July or August. But after that, we will be focusing on the food assistance, and I believe that that will be able to take us up to December. Beyond that, I can't speak. I am hoping, gentlemen and ladies of the media, I'm really hoping that by then we would be able to put more of our people back to work. Because as you know, and I have said it, as you know, giving out groceries, yes, to our most vulnerable is a good thing. But really, when you look at it, it's unsustainable. So our goal has to be putting Belizeans back to work.
All national flags in Belize will be flying at half-mast as a sign of respect on Saturday, the day that Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, will be buried in England. The Governor-General, Sir Colville Young, asked the Prime Minister to order the lowering of the flags and for church bells to toll on April 17, 2021 at 8 a.m. as a sign of respect and mourning. We asked Minister Balderramas Garcia for her thoughts on the significance of his passing for Belize.
As the Queen's consort, that is what they call it, no? He played a very important role. We are still a constitutional monarchy, and so our Belizean affiliation, if I could put it that way, with the Queen is not that we consider her personally to be the head of the country. Of course, well, she is constitutionally, but her representative in Belize is the Governor-General. But my comment on it is that the significance of his passing is that we are members of the Commonwealth of Nations, and that is an organization that has always brought a lot of good.
Funeral services for the Prince, who was the husband of Her Royal Majesty Queen Elizabeth, will be held at the St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. The Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs and the Love Foundation signed a partnership agreement this morning. One of the first issues they will jointly tackle is human trafficking. At today's signing ceremony at the Hub Resource Center in Belize City, Minister Dolores Balderramas Garcia provided further details.
First of all, I have to say what a delight it has been to have signed the partnership agreement with the Love Foundation. The purpose, of course, is for the ministry to work with our civil society and NGO partners in bringing more services and better attention to all the areas of the ministry, because there are so many. I mean, we could probably go on, but one of the areas that we are going to be highlighting shortly with the Love Foundation is the issue of trafficking in persons, which involves all forms of exploitation, whether it's of children, whether it's of immigrants, whether it is of school people, whatever. area of exploitation, we are going to be working with them in that Trafficking in Persons project.
The Love Foundation, what sort of resources do they offer?
Well, they offer many resources that the ministry couldn't easily access. For example, Deborah was telling me that they have partners in the United States, for example, that are willing to assist us in many social issues. So they bring a lot to the table. But I do want to say, though, that it's not just about money. It's about having the people who are absolutely committed to assist our ministry, because the more the merrier is all I can say.
Just ahead, Guardians of the River meets the people keeping an eye on the Rio Grande. But first, here is the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, a safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace. It reduces the risk of infecting workers and visitors. An unhealthy workplace makes problems that are common to a pandemic even worse, such as increased workloads, longer working hours, isolation, domestic violence, stress, anxiety, and depression. On the other hand, a healthy workplace protects people, allows businesses to continue operations, and keeps communities healthy. You can do your part by following these steps. Wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose. Stay at least 6 feet away from others. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Look out for and follow all safety instruction signs. Stay at home and away from others if you feel ill. Speak up if you do not feel safe.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
2020 taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected.
Okay everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
Prevenir el contagio de la COVID-19 requiere que los negocios de todos los tamaños y sectores den máxima prioridad a la seguridad y salud en el trabajo. Los gerentes y empleados deben realizar evaluaciones de riesgos para identificar áreas y procedimientos que ponen en peligro las vidas y los negocios. 6 pasos para crear un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable. 1. Identificar posibles fuentes de transmisión de virus. 2. Determinar quién podría estar infectado y cómo podría infectarse. 3. Discutir y decidir las medidas de prevención y control. 4. Implementar, comunicar y testear medidas. 5. Asegurar que el equipamiento de protección es adecuado para cada situación. 6. Mantener registros, revisar medidas y actualizarlas cuando sea necesario.
We must all do our part to slow the spread.
A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
There's a small group of children and youth who are making waves on the Rio Grande River. The residents of San Pedro, Colombia and Toledo are removing garbage from their beloved river and also setting an example for other young people in Belize. Reporter Andrea Polanco connected with the stewards of the Rio Grande to share their inspiring community-based initiative. Here's that story.
The Rio Grande River is scenic and winding, with rapids and smooth, sparkling green water that runs through several villages in Toledo. It is a lifeline for many of these communities, including San Pedro, Colombia, where hundreds of people use this river almost every day. But the Rio Grande has become polluted over the years, and now there's a group of young people doing something about it. They are called the Rio Grande River Keepers.
So the Rio Grande River Keepers basically stem from our genuine concern of the issue of plastic pollution and garbage in our rivers, especially since many of us in Colombia rely on the river for recreating, washing, for food, and even drinking water. And some of the issues we face in Colombia basically transcends throughout the other communities that share the entire Rio Grande watershed.
Denise Garcia and Quinta Tulsi are the leaders of this group. Although Garcia lives downstream and Tulsi lives upstream, they found out that the river is not the only thing that connects them.
We literally see the river every day. We jump in every day to take a swim. And so Quinto and I are neighbors, and we one day said, you know what, he's seeing a lot of garbage upriver, and I'm seeing a lot because I'm a little bit downstream. And so together we started talking, and you know, it was two of us trying to pull our nieces or nephews or other neighbor kids to try to clean our little area that we live in. And then eventually, you know, we had other villagers who were interested as well.
And that's how a small group of young people from San Pedro, Colombia got together, determined to make a difference in their community. They do river cleanups, plant trees, construct signs, and do other local initiatives to champion the stewardship of this shared resource.
Ever since we started, we are collecting quite an amount of garbage every. We did it once a week, and then later on we went on and we are trying to do it like 2 times per week, the river cleanup. But we weren't only doing cleanups; we were also doing tree planting, and we have planted quite amount of trees from when we started.
Apart from just, you know, cleaning up the area, it would be good to remind people of, you know, good practices that they could adopt on the river. So we started, you know, garnering donations from community members. We went to sawmills to pick up, you know, the scrap lumber. We got donations from paint, from, you know, local NGOs as well, and from other persons who generally had interest in our work. So we conducted sign painting workshops in our communities. We're over 12 signs now. We've managed to put along the different river, and we're tackling the hot spots where Quinto and I have noticed a lot of people, not only villagers, but people from outside also coming in to enjoy the river as well.
Since they started 7 months ago, the Rio Grande River Keepers have removed over 900 pounds of garbage from the river. And now they're also seeing changed behavior among the users of the Rio Grande.
From September until now, as far as last month, we've collected over almost 931 pounds of garbage. And something that we've seen through the garbage sorting is majority of it is plastic bags, the single-use plastics, clothes, and glass bottles. Those are like the top 3 that we find in the river. From my observation going up and down that river, we've noted that people started putting little crocus bags or little plastic bags so that people could literally, put their garbage in there in the event that they don't know how to dispose of it or have nowhere to dispose of it. Our ladies, those are the ones that depend on the river. They're mostly there, doing their washing. A lot of women have started tying, little bags on the root of a tree and so on, and they would pick up their little area. So we call it playas, and that's where they have their washing racks and their stones. So that's a place that they depend upon every day. So cleaning their own little playas, we've seen an increase in that.
And for Tulsi and Garcia, cleaning up the Rio Grande is worth it.
This makes me feel quite good, because then doing something positive for my community is quite something I always think about of doing, and it just makes me feel good at doing it, and getting others involved. I was really surprised to see that there's a lot of kids that is interested in helping us with the river cleanup. We got more kids, more than adults. So yeah, there's a lot of change with the kids.
It's creating a consciousness, but a sense of pride. I mean, all of us go to the river. We must do something to keep it clean.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
If you want to follow the work of the Rio Grande River Keepers or support their efforts, you can connect with them on Facebook. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5news.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at News 5 Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.